listening to Jai Long, and this is Make Your Break. Whether you're a big-hearted creative or an aspiring entrepreneur, let's take action on your dreams, reconnecting you with your why and giving you the how. I'm here to dish out actionable mindset tips and fun industry secrets to help you blow up your biz. From eye-opening reality checks to motivational gold, no two episodes are ever the same. So tune in weekly, skip the FOMO, and let's dive into the deep together. Hey, how are you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm really good. Asha, there's not many people we've had on the podcast twice, but this is the second time this year that you've been on the podcast on Make Your Break, and I'm really excited to dive in and chat to you today.
I'm so excited. I was very shocked when you reached out to me again, and so excited because I really wanted to do it again and join again. I had so much fun the first time. So thank you for having me back.
Of course. So one thing last time when I talked to you, you came, you had lots of energy and stuff, but you're also really busy. You're doing a lot of things at that time. Is your life settled down a little bit at the moment? Has wedding season sort of finished up for you, or?
Yeah. So compared to where we were at the last time, it's definitely slowed down a little bit. I only have, I think, one or two more weddings for the rest of the year. So my busy season was definitely in the summer months before this, but I'm finally catching a break and catching up, and it's been so nice because I was in the thick of it when we did this last time.
Did you just get married?
I did not get married. I got engaged, and we are doing everything out of order. We had a reception first, and
Cool.
Now we're taking engagement photos and having a million parties, but our wedding is next year.
That is so good. Like, I love hearing how people do it all differently. Hey.
I know. I love it too. It's so fun. And now being in this position where I'm always talking about, do everything how you want, like don't listen to what your family says, go for it. Now I'm actually in the position to actually do that. And I'm like, okay, wait, yeah, no, I 100% stand by this. Everyone needs to do what they want. It's so much more fun and less stressful that way.
Yeah, like one thing that I personally don't love about weddings, this is my own opinion. I don't actually love how everyone gets ready separately. And so for me, like if I'm getting married, I actually love the fact that I wanted to spend the whole day with my partner. And so we got ready together. And that was one thing for me that was like really important. I was like, I wanted to wake up in the same house, in the same room. And I wanted to, get dressed together, spend the morning together, and then us come and arrive at the ceremony together to like meet all our friends and family. And I felt like that was really cool and a little bit different to how most people do it.
No, totally. I love that. And I love the idea of that because I feel like it's very outdated. I mean, weddings in general, the traditions are super outdated. So I think we do a lot of things just because that's how we're supposed to do them. And I get it. There are some, traditions that don't have like the best meaning, but are still, when you do it in a modern way, it's still cool or, beautiful or whatever. As I just think as long as it's meaningful to you, like go for it. If you don't care about a certain aspect or you don't like it, don't do it. There's literally no rules at all when it comes to weddings. It just feels like there are because of the movies and our grandparents and our parents and traditions and stuff like that. So I think that's something that I want to hear more about. I want to hear more people being like, fuck it, I want to do what I want and we're going to do what we want because it's our day. Like it's like one of the few days you get that's like completely about you,
Well, let's talk about this a little bit more because who makes all these rules all the time? Like rules,
literally.
Yeah, rules. They kill me, right? Like I think I'm just the type of person like I hate authority, and I always have. I was I was always back chatting when I was at school and doing all that kind of stuff. But I just think it's like when someone makes up a rule, I'm like, who made this rule and why are we enforcing it? Why do we just abide by it? Like it's so weird. And so we're talking about like wedding traditions, and sometimes we feel like something might be a little bit outdated, but also in our businesses, like who's making the rules for us to run a business?
No, totally. And that's another thing is there are no rules. Like there are none. You can do whatever you want. I think a good example, I know we talked about this last time, but how, I like to cuss a lot and like say fuck a lot. And I know when I started my business and like my parents would see on Instagram, like in my captions, I'd be like, what the fuck is up? Like, how are you guys doing? This is so cool. They're like, Asha, you can't talk like that. People are not going to want to hire you. And I'm like, no, the right people will want to hire me and the people that I don't want to work with won't. And it actually works out perfectly for me like that. And now they
Mm,
understand it and they get it and they just know that's how I am. So it's fine. But it's just funny because I think that there are these unspoken rules that we live by for no reason. And
mhm.
I think as soon as people start to break free of that and start doing what they want and what's best for their business and their brand, everybody's just way happier and like everything falls into place way more seamlessly that way.
I love that. One of the reasons why I want to talk about rule breaking is because we're going to be talking about client experience today, and I have a very different opinion on client experience than a lot of people, and I know you're going to be bringing something different as well,
Yeah,
because you're passionate about client experience. And for me, like the main thing that I want to say with client experience is like there isn't any rules. So many people say like, so what do I have to do? Like, what do I have to send something out? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Oh, man, if you're thinking about those small things, then you're forgetting the overall whole picture of how to best serve your clients, because it comes down to all the tiny little things and how you do it authentically.
totally. So I love that because that's exactly it. I think that people think about client experience in like tiny portions as opposed to stepping back and really
Mm,
reflecting on the fact that client experience is from the minute that someone finds you on Instagram and how you make them feel to the last time that you guys talk after the wedding, after the photo shoot, whatever it is, that entire culmination of experiences will leave a lasting impression on them and overall will filter into their head as, okay, this was my experience with them, whether it's good, bad, funny, whatever, how they're feeling. It's everything. It's not just, well, I sent them a great gift after the wedding, so they're gonna love me. It's like, no, because there's so many things that happened up before that.
well, one thing is, you said it starts when they like first find your Instagram account, but I would argue it starts before they even find it. So, for
Yeah,
instance, imagine, Usher, like someone comes to find you, but through a friend that heard you on this podcast was like, you need to hear this person. Like, she just gave so much value, and it's just incredible. So, they already have a belief, an opinion about you and your business before they even reach your Instagram. And then
totally.
from there, like your experience and what you narrate, or the story that you tell, or the way that you make people feel, like continues and carries on, and hopefully reflects what someone's already said about you.
Yeah, totally. So I touch on this in my talk for the Wedding Photography Summit a little bit, but I totally agree with that. I think that the second they find you, whether that's on Instagram, on Facebook, word of mouth, wherever you are in the internet world, wherever your footprint is in the world, that is an opportunity for someone new to come across you and create that first impression. So for me, I'm like, you want to make sure that you're putting yourself out there authentically, and you know how I feel about that word, but
Yeah,
genuinely.
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but
We're getting the buzzwords going.
yeah, the buzzwords, but you want to make sure that you're coming forward as yourself in every channel that you're presenting yourself in, because you don't know where someone's going to find you.
So
You don't
good.
know where someone's going to come across you and interact with you. And you can't control that first impression outside of what you're putting out there. Like when somebody reaches you and comes across you out there organically, they're going to create their own first impression, whether it's good, bad, whatever it is. So you want to just make sure that you're doing your best to put yourself out there in a way that you want to be perceived and you want your business to come across to other people, because you can't control where someone makes that first impression of you.
Do you think it changes opportunities that you get based off like how you put yourself out into the world? So, for example, imagine if I did a post in an Instagram account, or just on a Facebook group or something, and I said something very negative. Maybe I was complaining about my clients or something, and then you read that, and then maybe in 6 months' time, I reach out to you and say like, "Hey, would you like to go on my podcast?" And then you go like, hey, I've already actually experienced your business without you even realizing it. And to be
Right.
honest, I actually don't.
Right. Okay. You posted something the other day that has been on my mind since Reels became a thing.
Mhm.
Jai, why are people getting on Reels and like talking shit about like other
They're
photographers or
clients.
or clients? Yeah, I've seen that. And I'm like, I get that, like there are some that are funny that are I think just like playful that everyone experiences and everyone's like, oh man, like this person put a filter over my picture and like that sucks. Like
Of
obviously that's
course.
a very general thing, but some of these people get really specific and I'm like, okay, if that were me, even if that weren't me, but I had thought like, oh my God, is that about me? Like are they talking about me? Did they experience this with me and I didn't know, or did I unintentionally offend my photographer and then they made a reel about it? Like I would feel
Mm.
embarrassed and I would feel hurt, and I'm just like, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the the laughs or like the maybe somebody
Or
like
the reach that
resonates
you
with that.
get.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
reach or the impressions or the engagement or whatever. I just think that sometimes like there's a fine line between like being funny and playful and then like being offensive, you know?
oh yeah. I mean, imagine if we just did this podcast episode and I'm like, yeah, this was fun. And then I made a reel going like, another podcast episode came, another boring interview,
I would
and then
cry.
you'd be
I
like,
would
well,
cry.
we just did one. Like, is this about me?
Yeah,
And
literally,
and
I
then
would
you got to,
literally,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
no, my
how we
feelings would
would
be hurt
feel.
100%. And it's totally human to feel like that because it's an experience that we just did together, whether it's about me or not. It could be something that you did a month ago, but it's just the timing
Totally.
of it. And you might not even realize, like, oh, she might think this way. Like, I'm sure that 90% of the time it's totally innocent and just like, oh, I have this idea for a funny bit. Let me do it unintentionally, hurting the feelings of like a couple people along the way. I just don't think it's worth it. And I do think, and believe me, I'm all about like crass humor and like being blunt and all that. I love that. I think it's funny. I'm very sarcastic, but I think that when you have all eyes on your work and you're a business owner,
Mhm.
it's like I just don't think it's in the best taste to do that about specific experiences like that.
I don't think ever about our clients, to be honest. And
Yeah.
it goes like these opportunities, right? And we forget that, like things that we post, it paints a picture of ourselves. And for me, like I run the Wedding Photography Summit, so I actually have to like essentially hire educators to come in and educate my
Right.
community. And there's been a few, like I'm very picky, and I choose and I pick who comes and who comes back and everything. And there's been like one or two educators that I've been getting some like very negative feedback through students that have like gone on and done some of their workshops, or they had a bad experience, however. But then when
Right.
you go into Facebook groups, people all recommend that person. And then for me, I'm like, I know that person would sell tickets, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't actually want to give that person the opportunity because I don't
Right.
really want to associate my business with the experiences that they truly give out. And so
Right.
it's real interesting because it's not me having a direct time with their business, it's their clients having direct time with their business,
Well, that just
but
ties
news
back into client.
travels.
Yeah, that just ties back into client experience. You have never actually interacted with them, but you've already experienced part of their
Mhm.
client experience through other clients that they've had. And that's it just comes full circle like that. That's why I think it's so important to be mindful about what you're putting out there and how you're running things and not just doing things for the engagement or the money or the sales or whatever it is. Like you really want to create valuable content because these are real people that are experiencing it and putting their money towards it and that want and are expecting and looking for a specific experience with you. So I just think that that's super important.
Okay, you're talking about value right there. I want to
Yeah.
ask you a question. A lot of us overestimate what value is. Like we always think like, oh, value means I need to like decrease my prices and I need to work for like 50 more days on the one job and I need to do all
Right.
this stuff. But would you agree that value could be like leaving someone a nice comment on their Instagram?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think value could be anything that impacts someone and leaves them feeling it not even a specific feeling, just feeling something about you or your brand or your business.
Yeah, it's real interesting because I do a lot of mentoring with a lot of people, and a lot of the times people say like, "Man, I'm not getting interactions. I'm not getting any reach. No one wants to do business with me. No one wants to, there's just nothing happening." But then when I
Right.
have a look, I'm like, "But you haven't given to anyone either, and
Right.
so how can you expect to receive when you haven't even given?"
Right. I agree with that 100%. I also think it's very easy for people on Instagram to get an idea of like what success is. And I think that it almost always falls into the category of, okay, am I getting enough likes, comments, shares, views, reach, engagement? And I don't think it has anything to do with that, honestly, because
Mm.
you could be getting 10,000 likes on every single thing that you post, but if people aren't like reaching out to you, wanting to hire you, excited about the things that you post, and you're just getting the likes because you want the likes, it's like, what's the point? Likes aren't going to, take your business to the next level. Like, you'll look better on Instagram, I guess, but if you're not having those meaningful interactions, then what is the point?
That is so interesting. So interesting because we often like we have the wrong measurement of success or
Totally.
the wrong metric that we go after. But what you're saying there is like people are not getting excited about your stuff, so excited that they're reaching out to work with you.
Right.
Maybe we need to change something up.
Right. 100%.
I love that. So at the Wedding Photography Summit, you're going to be talking a little bit about client experience. And I love to dive in today without giving too much away. But I
Yeah,
know client experience is literally like I've talked about it for hours and hours with so many different people. And it goes to so many different conversations because it's almost endless. Like we
it
could
is.
talk about this forever.
It is. I could literally sit here and talk about it for so long because, like I said before, there's so many different avenues and channels that you could always improve on. So I don't know if you saw, but I asked on Instagram a couple weeks ago. I did a poll and I said, "Are you happy with your client experience, or do you feel like what you're offering to your couples, your clients, that can be improved?" So it was kind of like a yes, I think I could improve a little bit, or no, I'm solid, I'm 100%, like I'm good, my business is
I
perfect.
send out that package. It's all good. Like,
Right, exactly. We're good. I am the best business owner of all time. So obviously, most people said, no, I think that I could improve a little bit. And I feel like that honestly should have been 100%. I mean, I don't care who you
of
are in
course.
a business, like everyone, Apple, like Google, anything, your client experience can always be improved no matter what, no matter how successful your business is. So that was just interesting to me that, some people were like, no, I'm solid, I'm good. And it's just, if you take a step back and you're really just honest with yourself, or even put yourself in your client's shoes, which I feel like more people should do more often. Like, say you're going to hire a photographer, what would they have to do for you to feel valued and feel important and feel, you know, solid in your decision with who you chose as a photographer? And I feel like we could all step back and like do little things, extra things to make people feel, more important as our clients. Because I do feel like that's a really important aspect of a client experience, is making your individual clients feel like they're your only client. They don't want to feel like, oh, well, she's got 100 other
Mm.
people that she's doing this for. You want to feel special. Everyone wants to feel special.
I love that so much. Would you say with client experience, one of the best ways to form up your own client experience, because we all have like different core values of what we value, but
Right.
actually going off an example of doing business with other businesses and then
Mhm.
seeing how you were treated, how you felt, and how you could implement that same feeling into your business if it was a great experience.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the honestly the best way to experience what other people are experiencing with you, because it's easy to be like, well, if I step back, I know that my intentions are this, this, and this. And it doesn't always come down to what your intentions are, but how your intentions are kind of like illustrated, or how it makes them feel. Everybody has good intentions, but not those intentions aren't always received in the way that you're intending them to be
Mm,
received. So I think that when you're looking intrinsically like that, it's easy to be like, well, no, my business is really good because I want them to feel this and I'm doing what I can to make them feel this. But, not everyone's going to feel what you're trying to make them feel, because everyone's different. So I think it's a really, really good exercise and just an opportunity to work with other businesses and to see what you like, what you don't like, what they did that made you feel a specific way that you probably never thought to implement into your own business or anything like that. I just think that that's like a really good way to actually experience, what you're trying to give to other clients.
love that. So if you don't mind me sharing, I actually used to do a little in my old workshops, I used to do a little what's it, a task or like a project where I'd get everybody to jot down their five top things that they value the most in business and then see if they're doing that in their own business. So, for example, like why do you buy an Apple computer over buying a Dell computer? Maybe you love packaging and how that makes you feel. And why do
Right.
you go to that cafe around the corner that's super busy and not the one that's close to you that's cheap? Maybe
Right.
you love status. Maybe you love a unique product. Maybe you like to be seen. And so if you write these things down, so these are like your core values of why you do business with businesses,
Right.
then from there, you can start uh, changing and making sure that your business does the same thing. Maybe do you have a unique product? Do you make people feel like a one of a kind? Is it a unique, whatever it is? But I
Totally.
think that's just like a good practical thing that we can do.
No, I agree 100%. And like you said, with the packaging and stuff, like that's a huge reason why people buy Apple over
Yeah,
Dell or whatever, because they love the packaging. And then if you look at it, if you look at the marketing and the actual business behind Apple, they spend so much money on research and design and development of making sure that their packaging is like as
as good as the product.
aesthetically, yeah, aesthetically pleasing and as like just as fun to open it as their actual product. Like people love opening Mac
Hmm.
products or Apple products because it everything about it is just so fun. Everything is like seamless. It works. And it's because they put in the time because they know how important that is. And then look how well it works for them.
Hey, if one of the big, like if $1 trillion company is putting that much effort into something, man,
Right.
they're a smart company. They know what they're doing.
Exactly. 100%.
So I got one like I got one friend from an old studio, and he was saving up for a new computer, and he couldn't see why anyone would buy a Mac computer, and he'd show me all the stats, and he was like, "No, man, I'm just going to go to this HP computer, and I'm going to save myself like $1,000." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And so he went out and he finally saved up. He got this new computer and he brought it back, and it came in this cardboard box wrapped in bubble wrap. And he literally opened it up and he was just so disappointed with like the money he just saved and then how it made him feel that he wrapped it
Right.
back up. He took it back to the shop and he actually got a Mac because he wanted to go, I just bought something. I feel like this is actually
Yeah,
worth
you
it.
feel
Right.
good about it, right? You feel
Yeah.
good about it and you're excited to come home and open it. And I mean, when opening something is as fun and as appealing as using the product, like you're winning
Mm.
as a business.
I love that so much. One thing I want to ask you, what do you think about client experience in terms of how well it serves you and how much you should do it for you and yourself, or how much you should do it for your clients and how well it serves your clients? So, an example that I'm thinking of right now is um, for instance, something that serves me is like maybe making something a little bit easier by like not accepting credit card payments because it saves me a little bit of money. And then there's a system I've already got there. But for my clients, they really want to pay with credit card. But I'm like, well, it's my business. I really want to serve myself. Or should I be going, the client experience is kind of falling down at the payment gateway. Like, yeah, what do you think
Yeah.
about that?
So I think so the original part of your question was, is it more self-serving or is it more for your client, and like how do you go about that? I think it's literally a full circle. I think that if you're fulfilling your clients, you will feel fulfilled in your business, because at the end of the day, especially the business that we're in, we are in this for people. We serve people, we do things for people, we're there for their events, their weddings, their whatever it is. So I think it's very hard, not very hard. I think it's difficult to be in this business, to be self-serving and to be successful running a business while being self-serving. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah,
in the photography business
for
and
sure.
running from a self-serving perspective, I think is really hard, because at the end of the day, everything you do is for your clients. So I
Mm.
think that if you can and run your business with the mindset of, okay, if I do this and it's easier for them, it might take me an extra 10 minutes, it might cost me an extra $10, it might cost me whatever it's costing you. If it's ultimately making your couples or your clients happier, I think that that's completely worth it.
Yeah. So there's something that I always say is do the hard things so your clients can do the easy things. Because
100%.
so often we always try and do the easy things. Like we do bare minimum all the time. Like I don't really
Yeah.
want to do this. I don't really want to give them those extra photos, or I don't want to stay an extra hour, or I don't want to, but it's like, man, do the hard things so your clients don't have to. They just do
No,
the
and
easy things.
I definitely get caught in that, especially during busy season. And you're just like, God, like this sucks. I'm tired. I just want to be done. Like I've been
Yes.
editing for 10 hours or whatever. Do I really want to go in and like retouch these photos? Are they even going to notice? And then I'm just like, okay, hold on. let me put myself in my client's shoes who just,
Mm.
saved up all this money and paid me all this money and were so excited to have me there.
They are your only client too. You have to keep going back to that.
Exactly.
Hey,
Exactly. They're expecting this level from me. I need to perform above that level so that they leave as happy as possible.
I love that so much. Like I think about this. Like I think when you start getting this mentality, you think about this with everything, right? So when I run a summit, like I think last time or the first time we had about 8,000 students, but when I'm there, I'm talking to everyone as if they're the only person that's there. And so when I'm
Totally.
in my workshops and I do like group coaching and stuff, like when I'm in there, I'm like, man, everyone that's asking me a question, I'm answering all of them because you are all here. You're not a number.
Totally.
And so I
Totally.
think too often we think that like I've got 50 clients this year for my weddings and I've got 1,000 people. I'm doing one-on-one mentoring and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and everything becomes a stat and a number and a like and a share. But really, like there's humans on the other side and they are invested in you, so you owe it to
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. They don't have 50 photographers, they have you. And the fact that you have 50 clients doesn't affect them, or it shouldn't affect them. And I think that, especially right now, I'm sure you've seen so many posts where people are sharing, this is why your gallery's late, or be patient with photographers right now, they're busy, and all of that stuff. And all of that is completely valid. We are dying right now. We are struggling. But
Totally.
I just think that those posts, I think that they kind of paint a negative picture for the clients who just had their wedding and are excited to receive their photos or whatever, still on the high of their wedding. And then they go on and they see the photographer just being like, I have so much to do. I'm dying. I don't want to
I'm
do anything.
tired.
I'm
Yeah.
tired. Like, I'm over this. I'm exhausted. Please be patient with me. Like, obviously everyone deserves grace in this period of time, but I just think that those things could have a negative effect on the people that are seeing them, because again, you're their one photographer, so they are
Mhm.
excited that you're excited. They want to feel that energy from you, that you're like 100% in it. Yeah, we're all struggling right now, but I got you. I'm going to get your photos to you as within the deadline that I had promised you when you signed the contract, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And I just think maintaining that energy, whether it's forced or not for social media, because sometimes we have to force things for social
Mhm.
media to make people feel something. I think that that's really important, to make sure that people feel the energy from you, because it's really easy to go on social media and leave feeling down, feeling like drained because of everything going on in the world. So I just think that when it comes to something happy like wedding photography, you want to kind of keep that happy, positive, excited feeling about it.
Yeah, I like absolutely agree. And one thing that I'm drawn to you is like you're so busy all the time, but you're never complaining about it.
Yeah,
You know what I
no,
mean? So you're
it
not like
really
putting it on
matters.
me as a follower, and I'm not feeling
Right,
drained, going like,
exactly.
"Oh man, like
Exactly.
poor,
Like,
poor Asha."
exactly. I don't want anyone to ever feel like that. I don't want you to log on and I'm like, Jai, I'm fucking tired and I'm gonna
Yeah,
make it your problem right now. Like,
yeah.
no, it's not. It's fine. It's like everybody's tired. It's okay. We all got stuff to do. We're gonna do it and it's gonna be fine.
Well, let's talk about a quick practical tip because sometimes we can talk about what people do wrong, but let's flip it.
Yeah,
And one thing is if you're doing a post saying like, "Hey, I'm too tired," like bear with me, I'm going to get your stuff, and it could be negative. So let's maybe flip it and say like, maybe we could do a post or a reel or something and say like, hey, I'm taking some time to recharge my energy so you won't see me on social media so I can show up even more for you, and so I
totally.
can like fill my cup. And so we're reversing it. Instead of saying the negative effects of having all these clients, we can say the positive. Hey, I'm learning so much, I'm meeting so many people, I am
Totally.
having so many more experiences, I'm getting so much better at photography, and I'm going to show up for you.
And imagine like being another photographer seeing that message
Oh yeah.
and they might be feeling down. Imagine like the energy shift that they would feel from reading that and seeing that and kind of reflecting and being like, oh my God, like, wait, I'm really tired too, but I like their perspective. I like how they're looking at this. Like, I'm going to go recharge so that I can show up for my couples better, because I think showing up for your couples is the most important thing you can do
Mm-hmm.
as a photographer. That's it. That's your one job, is to show up and be there and do your job to the best of your ability. That's all they're asking for.
Show up for your clients. I've got to say,
Yeah.
inside my six-figure business map, I do like coaching calls every 2 weeks, and they usually go for like between 5 to 7 hours, like
Yeah.
nonstop, right? Crazy. And
You're
everyone in
crazy.
there is,
You're
yeah,
insane.
I know. And everyone in there is like, how do you just do that? Like, how do you sit there for 7 hours? But you got to realize that what I do is I prioritize the people that are investing in me. So I don't take on any other work that day. I don't stay up late the night before. I make sure I eat healthy, I drink water, and I prepare myself so I can be there and so I can serve and serve and serve. And so I think like
Absolutely.
that, like with my clients, like when I shoot weddings, like I've got to be honest with you, I shoot 4 weddings in a weekend. Like I'll do
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like I do
Yeah.
that. But I make sure that every single day I show up and I never talk about yesterday's wedding. I never talk about how tired I am. And every day is the best day that I've ever had at a wedding.
You have to make it that way. You have to make it that way. Even if you are feeling tired, all it takes is for you to be like, yeah, I'm tired. This is kind of miserable. And then you're done. Like you're in a slump. Your
Mhm.
headspace is already clouded with the negativity. And then it's just like, what's the point? It's not fun for anyone after that.
Here's a couple of other things. You could also, like from the outside, you could seem too busy. So Asha, you're flying around doing all this kind of stuff, and I reach out to you, and you get back to me, and I'm like, oh, she's not too busy. And I think sometimes just the language that we use. So people always say to me like, oh, Jai, I know you're busy. Like my clients, if I'm shooting a wedding, I know you're busy. Don't disturb you. My coaching clients, I know you're busy. My friends, I know you're busy. But I think the language that we use, and for me, I always say like, I'm never too busy for you. Like I'm
Right.
never, don't ever say that. I'm never too busy for you. I've got energy
Right.
to, I got time. I'm willing to listen. I can be there, like no problem. And I think sometimes like even just saying the right things to the right people changes the client experience.
No, absolutely. And I think that that is a really good point. I think just the way that you speak. I also really appreciate those clients because I have those clients too that recognize like, hey, I
Oh,
know that
totally.
you're not posting a lot, so that means that you're probably busy doing this. I don't want to bug you. I don't want you to feel like there's another thing added onto your plate. I appreciate just that energy, that patience. Even if I'm not doing anything, I'm like, oh my God, I love you. That makes me want to get back to them even faster and make them feel like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I am busy, but you're a priority, and I want you to feel that. So I think that's really a good point to make. I appreciate those people, but also I think that I never like to say like I don't have time because I read this post like literally years ago when I was in high school. Like everyone has time, it's just what you prioritize. So there's
Definitely.
24 hours in a day. You have 24 hours. If you want to spend 10 of those hours sleeping, that's your priority, and that's fine. But there are so many things you could get done. If you can't get it done, it's not your priority that day, and that's fine. But I just think life is literally what you prioritize. Like I wake up and I know the things I have to get done, and I
Definitely.
will not do anything else until those things are done. And that's just how I am. That's just me not wanting to feel like I wasted a day. And I know you're like that too. We're
I love this.
psychotic. We are very different. We're a different breed of people.
That's why I
Not
love
everyone's
talking to
like
you.
that. I know. You understand me more than most people do because even my own, like my mom and my sisters, they're like, why are you still working? Like the day's done. And I'm like, no, it's not. We're still awake. There's still Wi-Fi. There's still people awake right now. I can get things done.
Because you're obsessed, and
Yeah.
obsessed people see obsessed people.
Yep.
You
That's
know,
how it
you're
goes.
obsessed over life. Yeah. And like too
Totally.
many people make us feel weird or guilty or like workaholics or other things because like suppress the obsession. It's like, nah, man, like I'm just
No,
getting started.
totally. And I get a lot of messages from people that are like, oh my God, like you must be exhausted. Make sure you take time for yourself. And I'm like, this is my time. Like I don't do things I don't enjoy doing. You know what
You're
I mean? Like,
exhausted. I'm not
yeah.
exhausted.
No, and like, yeah, no, I might be tired, but I'm gonna keep working. Like, I don't know. I get that there's probably a fine line between like being a workaholic and just, being like us that really are passionate about what we do and we want to do it right and, do it in a timely manner. But I just think that if if I'm awake and I can do it, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like there's
Mm.
no excuse for me to be like, oh, take time for yourself. Like this is my time. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Even if I'm tired, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing.
I think sometimes like you got to realize that you've got a place to go.
Yeah.
So I feel like when my friends are like, Jai, like I got a friend and he says like, you're in your 30s now, Jai, like um you should see what happens. Like everything slows down. You won't be able to run like you did in your 20s. I'm like, man, I've got places to go. Like
Yeah.
there ain't nothing changing for me,
Yeah.
you know. And that's me just like having a purpose driven life. Like I want to go after these things. And so if I'm running with my passion like that, of course, nothing's going to stop me. Nothing's going to slow me
Right.
down.
Right. Of course. Yeah, totally.
Hey, so talking about prioritizing, and I love to because this ties in with like your time and
Mhm.
with our clients, like prioritizing. when people ask myself or yourself, like, Jai, how do you have time to post on social media all the time? Jai, how do you have time to get back to your DMs? Like, how do you get back to your emails? I don't have time for those things. Now, what I realize is from the beginning, like I've been doing this, for a long time now, and I've been the same way. I haven't changed. Um, I prioritize number one, the people that are invested in me. Number two is like they're my clients. Number three, it's like my subscribers, my followers, like my whatever it is. Anyone that wants to give me some sort of support, and it might be a like, it might be a share, like whatever it is. So that's number one. And so when someone tells me that I don't have time to get back to someone,
Mhm.
to me, I'm like, well, you've prioritized the wrong thing. Because if you
Exactly.
prioritize the people first, watch your business blow up. But because you don't, and then you prioritize maybe, going to the post office to send something, editing a couple last photos, like whatever it is that you've prioritized, I believe it may be a low value task and it's not as important as your clients.
Totally. And I touch on this again in my talk. It's That's the beauty of running your own business is you can make whatever you want a priority. You can do whatever you want. You have full control over that. But there's still so much power and value in what you prioritize. Regardless of the order you put it in, there are things that are going to be more valuable to your business if you prioritize them versus
Yeah.
others.
Hey, and it works in your whole world, doesn't it? Because let's just say that you're a mother,
Mhm.
and you prioritize it over everything else, like your child. And
Right.
so, with that in mind, you're still going to show up, you're still going to work and everything, but chances are you're probably going to make more impact and work so you can do less time there, so you can get back and be the super mum that you want to be. And so,
Totally.
the knock on effect, because you made that decision, it doesn't have to be your clients is the most important, but the knock on effect means you now don't blame your kids for not having time or feeling burnt out and stuff like that. And you have changed the rest of your business, your lifestyle, like everything else to reflect that. And you've attracted people that also prioritize their family as number one as well.
100%. And I think we talked about this last time. The energy that you give is the energy that you receive in whatever way you're giving it, whether it's negative, positive, hardworking, enthusiastic, whatever. The energy that you put out there is literally the exact same energy that you're going to receive from the people that you surround yourself with. So
Mm.
you're choosing what you want to receive. I 100% believe that. If you want to receive something, put it out there.
Yeah, it's so true. So with client experience, just
Mhm.
wrapping it back up that I've got to say, like from my philosophy and like what I was saying before, it's like it's within everything. I do sort of take a step back and I think about everything, right? So I don't think just about like, oh, I'm going to send something out. I think about if someone hears from me on a podcast and they get onto my social media, then they get on my website, like, can they find me easy? Can they see my services easy? Can they see, is there an about me video so they can see my mannerisms, how I talk, how I hold myself? Um, how quickly did I get back to them? Then from there, it's like, how, like, pricing. How was the prices? How did I name my packages? How did I present the prices? How confident was I? How, like, all these tiny little things. And here's a good example. People don't realize like pricing is client experience. Like it really is. I
Yeah.
believe this, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine, and most people don't want to do sales and they hate, talking about money. But imagine if you came into my shop and you're like, I really want that shirt. And I said, awesome, grab it. And then you walk to the door and to the front counter and just stood there and you're like, is someone going to come and take my money? And
Right.
I'm like, I'm too awkward, man. I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
money,
I don't want
you
to talk
know?
about money. That's so weird. Like, no
So
way.
now you as a consumer is sitting there awkward because you're like, oh, this is a weird transaction. I don't really want this shirt
Yeah.
anymore, right? So
Right.
I think like client experience is if you don't show up and confidently and proudly talk about the money, your prices, take that money, take that deposit, talk about how it all works,
Confidently.
swipe the credit
Confidently.
card, man,
Yes.
you're making it hard for them, to try
And
and make it easy for you.
yeah, so the key word is confidently, because if you are making it uncomfortable and you're like, oh, well, are you cool with this price? Like, does this feel okay? Like,
Do you want
are
a
you,
discount?
yeah, like, how are you feeling? And they're going to be like, hold on, wait, if you're not confident in what you're charging me, I'm not confident in what I'm paying you. And just everything you just said is literally what I talk about in my talk. Literally, like
Love that.
how you presenting your pricing, uh, what your website looks like. Is it easy? Is it easily navigatable? I don't even know if that's a word. Can they navigate it easily? Can they click what they need to click? Do you have an about page? Your contact page? Are you asking the right questions? All of that stuff is all going to literally package itself into your client experience.
Yeah. And like with pricing, like all the time we complain about how expensive something is. And that's just us being regular humans. If I go and have dinner, I'm like, oh, this is expensive.
Right.
But I'm still going to eat there. And I
Right.
still like the waiter to tell me something. So I remember I was having dinner with a friend. Pizza came out. Oh, he's looking at the pizzas and they were $30. And he goes, oh, the pizzas are expensive. And then the waiter goes, the pizzas, they're not expensive. They're great. Like that's what they are. You know,
Yeah.
they're like stone milled wheat with like
Yeah.
Italian, you know, sun ripened tomatoes. The chef has put so much work into this pizza. And then I was sitting there going, man, he's so right. It ain't
Yeah.
expensive. The thing is incredible, you know. So
No,
it's the
totally.
same as like sometimes like someone will come to us and we feel insecure about our prices and stuff. And we think maybe they might even say, oh, geez, that's expensive. But it's easy for me to just say back to them, like, I agree. It is
Yeah.
expensive. You know, when I got a wedding photographer, it was super expensive. The best
Yeah.
decision I ever made, though, you know,
Yeah.
and you might go to
Totally.
someone else and they're cheaper, but guess what? You're going to get a better deal with me. I can guarantee that.
Exactly. 100%. You're going to get a better client experience. And
Uh
I
huh.
just think that I think that that's something to think about is think about what you're charging. Think about what you as a person would expect for that cost. And
Yeah.
then go above that for your clients.
Always. Hey, like with money, I'm so comfortable with it that like everyone in my business map always laughs. They always like have a joke with me. They're like, Jai, I should just leave my credit card on file. Like you just taking my money. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're right. You should. You should give me
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, give me more money so I can make you something even better. And I'll keep
Yeah.
making stuff better because I believe in my products. Like if someone signs up to the summit to watch you talk about client experience, it's $7, right? And we're sending out a journal as well for free to people. I'm like, yeah, give me money. Like,
Yeah.
do that because I'm
Right?
telling you, it's an unfair exchange. You
Yeah.
get a better deal than what I'm getting every time. Let's make that
Totally.
happen.
Totally. 100% agree.
I feel like I'm just talking too much now.
No, I love it. I'm just agreeing with everything that you're saying because it's so true. And I just think I think it's easy for people to be like, oh, well, I'm already going above and beyond when I'm doing their wedding. I'm giving them so many photos. I'm giving them extra photos. And I'm just like, yeah, but take the actual photo shoot and the photos out of the equation. And then what does your client experience look like? How
What's
are you
left?
communicating them? Yeah, what's left? How are you communicating with them before that? How are you making them feel before that? What value are you bringing to them before you even meet with them, before you guys show up to the wedding and do what they hired you to do? All everything before and after is just as important as what you're doing for them.
Love that. Do you have any last practical tips for people that are listening right now, getting so pumped, getting so inspired? They're listening to you thinking, how man, how's this girl's got this much energy? You know, like I'm burnt out. Like, have you got any advice for us normal humans that want to go into our business this morning and then look from outside perspective of our client experience and start somewhere?
So I really, really loved and agreed with what you said. Asking yourself those questions: what are things that you value in other businesses, and take a step back and reflect: are you doing that to your best potential, to your fullest potential for your clients? I think that that's so valuable to yourself, for your own business, for your own awareness. Um, Really just self-reflect on what you have to offer, and then put yourself in your client's shoes. I mean, even go through your website with fresh eyes. If you were a new client, where would you go? Where would you click? What questions would you have? And are you answering those questions on your website? Or are you putting them in a position where they have to email you to ask you for further clarification because it's not super clear on your website? Just things like that. Put yourself in their shoes, go through your website, fill out your contact form, get the email, respond to yourself. I mean, really immerse yourself and be a client for yourself and just see what that feels like and what that looks like from a client's end. Because I'm sure it always can look, professional and feel professional when that's your intention, but really look at it from somebody who assume that they've never hired a photographer before. What are they feeling when they go to your page and fill out your form and receive that initial email from you?
Love that so much. I gotta say, like, I'm so selfish. Like, I'm so selfish. I invited you back to the wedding photography summit because, like, I see you having so much energy and stuff. And I gotta say, like, for myself, like, you attract me like a magnet because that's what energy does, right? And
Totally.
I think so many of us like we need to recognize that and we need to bring that into our own world because energy is the thing that changes the game. And for me, it's like if I see someone like yourself working as hard as that you do, and not just hard as in like busy, like you'll make like a purposely doing the things that you're doing. I'm like, man, I need to give her an opportunity. I need to help her in some way. I need to, do something. And that's me being so compelled by it. And I think like for all of us right now with our businesses, like we need to think like that with our clients. Like if we are walking into a room, like do we light it up? Do we attract people, or do we drain people? Do we recharge people, or do we drain people?
Every interaction you have is an energy exchange, whether it's positive or negative, and you just kind of have to be self-aware enough to recognize, am I giving the positive energy? Am I receiving it? Am I giving the negative energy, or am I receiving it and then in turn I'm giving the negative energy? It's just, I think self-awareness is just really, really important, especially in this business when you're working with, it's just human on human contact constantly. It's customer service constantly. You're talking to people nonstop, and it's constant, it's endless energy exchanges. So being aware of the energy you're giving is going to be such a game changer in the energy that you receive.
Love that. And last little tip I just want to give out to the audience is like, be aware of how you speak and who you speak about, how you speak about those people.
Absolutely. Especially on the internet, where things live forever.
Yeah. Just a funny little story. My wife, Lilu, she said to me the other day, like, oh, I was talking to a wedding photographer. She's actually pretty big in our area now, and she's doing some branding with Lilu. And she's like, oh, I actually know your husband, Jai. And Lilu says, oh, how do you know him? She's like, well, 5 years ago, I was actually at a wedding and I really wanted to do wedding photography. And I walked up to her and I said, would you mind if I followed you around, just took photos next to you? And then she's like, Jai just turned around and says, of course I don't mind. Like, do whatever you want, take those photos. And if you could get any good ones, like show me. And what's interesting is like, I know a lot of people would say like, you can't take photos, you can't do this at my weddings and stuff. And this is 5 years later. And then that story that she shares comes back to me. And then I hear it and I'm like, oh, I remember her.
Right.
And I'm like, that one bit of kindness of how I treated that person at that time 5 years ago is still affecting my business today. And so when I think about that, like every interaction that I have with everyone, it doesn't matter if it's the uncle at the wedding, it doesn't matter if it's another wedding photographer, it doesn't matter if it's someone I disagree with, I know that it's going to affect my outcome, my life, my business, like everything for years to come.
100%. I think that's just a good life lesson in general, outside
I know,
of
this is just life lessons, isn't
be
it?
nice, be nice
Be a nice
people.
person.
Yeah, just be nice to people and people will be nice to you. And then that's it. That's what we learn in like kindergarten. And that's what we need to take. You know what? It all comes first full circle completely.
Guys, pay $7 for the summit, and that's what Asha's going to teach. She's going to jump on, go like, be nice to everyone, and then she's going to drop the mic, and then she walks off. Yeah.
10 seconds of me just being like, just be a fucking nice person. And then I'm going to log off and it's done.
If you did that, like I would have so much respect. I'd be like, oh my God, that was the most impactful, the best message, like talk out of everyone's, because it's the thing that we all need to hear.
I think people would be a little bit upset with me if I did that, but I don't know. Invite me back a third time and I might just do it just for fun.
Just like, oh, okay.
Yep.
There it is.
A little cameo.
Little cam. Yeah, that's a good idea. Where can we find you? Where can we say hi and follow your adventures?
Yeah, so Instagram is where I'm at all the time, every day. It's where I live. So I'm
Asha Bailey _
Yep, _. I'm on TikTok a little bit, but Instagram is definitely where I'm the most active. And
you're on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube for 1 week out of the year because I'm very bad at keeping up with it. But yes, I am on YouTube briefly.
I was just watching it. I really enjoyed it. I watched the
video were you watching?
The day in the life of.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So secondhand embarrassment.